Welcome to Girl Talk. I'm Nicole D. Miller, author, blogger, speaker, hybrid book publisher, and your host. At Girl Talk, we are a safe space for female leaders to engage in healing and edifying conversation. This is your Me Too, empathetic corner, where we have authentic and transformative dialogue designed to uplift and connect high-achieving women like you. Are you looking for a safe space to cultivate sisterhood with other like-minded female bosses? Leave your cape at the door and join the conversation. Hi guys, and welcome to Girl Talk 101. I'm your host, Nicole D. Miller. I'm excited to introduce our next guest on the Girl Talk podcast, Dr. Lisa Wicker. Dr. Lisa and I connected through a mutual friend who nominated me for her Emerging Leader Award. Dr. Lisa is the founder and president of Career Mastered Magazine and hosts an annual awards ceremony and summit honoring female leaders around the country. I was super excited to have this interview because of Dr. Lisa's wealth of experience and as an entrepreneur and female leader. She has a well-rounded skill set and much wisdom to offer. She's lived out a thriving career leading to the C-suite, then dove into entrepreneurship, an endeavor that continues today. Hearing her story, I'm sure you will be inspired to explore a variety of fields and pour out your life to capacity. So, sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and join the conversation. Hi guys, and welcome to Girl Talk One-on-One. I am your host, Nicole D. Miller, and I'm super excited to introduce our guest today, Dr. Lisa Wicker. Hi, Dr. Lisa.
Hi, Nicole. How are you today?
Good. Thank you so much for honoring us with your story and your journey today. I know it's going to inspire many. So for the sake of our audience, can you please tell us who you are, what you do, and all the things?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I am Dr. Lisa Wicker. I am the founder and president and publisher of Career Mastered Magazine, a quarterly magazine that is an inspiration for today's global career woman, as well as the founder of Wicker and Associates, a human resources consultancy with offices in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Detroit, Michigan. And I am currently, right now, working on a number of projects because we also have an annual summit for women. And so that's basically what I do every day.
And you're a published author. You have a new book out. What's the name of your new book?
Yes, I'm actually three-time author. The third award-winning book is Capacity, Women Shattering Limits Now, and you can find it on Amazon, all major outlets. As well as my first and second book. The first book is called The Winning Spirit. It's really about helping employees understand how to bring enthusiasm to work and win every day. And then the second one is called Power Play, which is a reference book for those that are in the workplace or in their lives personally, wanting to understand the game of life and work.
Love it. And I did fail to mention to our audience that I have been the recipient of your Career Mastered Award, Emerging Leaders Award. So I'm highly honored to have you in this space.
Thank you.
I definitely want you to dive a little bit into your journey and tell us how you were able to make the moves you were able to make. You've accomplished so much. How did you know which doors to walk through and what led you in your experience?
Well, today I can be reflective on it. I don't know that I knew when I was going through, but I actually started my career as an intern with General Motors, and from there became an executive. So the steps to that certainly weren't easy, but it was a part of the learning journey. And then after I left General Motors after 20 years, I became the Chief Human Resource Officer for MGM Grand and was the first African American internationally on their roles, as well as started my own entrepreneurship, because during the times that I was working, I always had this desire to be an entrepreneur, and started a wedding studio back in the early 90s. sold that, and this was while I was still working, and at the same time my career was becoming higher and higher as an executive. I then had the chance to start Wicker and Associates, which is a human resources firm, and started the 101 best companies to work for in Detroit, which is still in place today. Then I joined Lowe's International as their international head of HR, and then retired again. So that's been my journey. I've always believed in using all of that I've been given in terms of talents in the capacity. That's why I wrote the book in 2011, that we have so much that we're given each and every day, and you should use 100% of it. If not, you're leaving something on the table.
Now, you've walked in a lot of different industries, you've worn a lot of hats, and I don't know if that's necessarily typical. Do you feel like that was modeled in your upbringing? Was that your normal? What were your thoughts on doing a lot of different things at
Well,
once?
I think I had a line of sight, first of all, because my grandfather taught us how to reach for goals. And I tell that when I speak. I am also a public speaker with the American Speakers Bureau. But I also learned that, there's this opportunity between where you are and where you want to be. And that gap is the capacity that we have to use to bring to reach that, right? So I used to help with him on his insurance journey, and would walk with him, and he would help me understand how to keep up with his pace. And so understanding that now, I reflect back, I'm like, he was actually teaching me how to have a goal and reach it, right? And so I've had that, as well as being the youngest of five. I have siblings that all went to college, and we all grew up in Mississippi at a time that was probably seemingly impossible, but they all went to college. So when I came along, it was like I had no choice but to, continue with the torch and get my education. So I've always had this, what I call reality that was given to me around community, because in the South, and I'm sure in other neighborhoods, we grew up with the neighbor telling us what to do, your church Sunday school teacher telling you what to do, the teachers at school being the same ones that was at Sunday school telling you what to do, so you couldn't go right or left if it was the wrong way to go. You had to be on the straight and narrow. You talk about skipping school. There was no skipping school, because if you were on the street during school and somebody saw you, your parents already knew, and you already probably had got a spanking or whatever from the person that found you, right? So we had to be good kids. And I mean, the values that we had was strong inside of success, because professionally, for African Americans in the 60s and 70s, if you had a professional gig as a teacher, you were an educator, that meant that you had, made it. And so those people were teaching me, right? And so I had no choice but to make it. So when I went off to school at Michigan State, and by the way, I got to go to a Big Ten school, and went off to school, I knew that I had to be successful, right? And so my line of sight was, if I have to work, I want to be the best at it. So when I started working, I knew that I had to dress higher than the job I was in. I had to talk as if I was in a different level, and I had to present myself. So I kind of walked in those spaces with presence and confidence, even in the face of those things that I didn't know. And it has helped me along the way.
Now, you've definitely touched on community, and I love that you're a byproduct of that. How does giving back to your community or reaching your community manifest in your journey today?
Well, that's the essence of Career Mastered. Career Mastered is based upon the fact that I mastered my career. And after having left corporate, I wanted to make sure that I poured into girls and women some of the things that I learned and was given. I feel like to whom much is given, much is received, and you have to give that back. My mom taught me that. My family taught me that. So everything around Career Mastered is built upon mentoring, networking, and making sure that the currency of that network is being used properly, that you get a return on investment for that. And I teach women how to do that, so that inside of the cliche, your network is your net worth. Well, your net worth is not going to make it until you understand how to spend that currency. And so Career Mastered really is about mastering where you're going. And it's not saying that you have mastered it. It is the evolution of mastery so that when you do get to that there, you did master it because we're all evolving every day. Pray the Lord says, well done. All of this is part of that process.
I want to ask you more about diving into being an entrepreneur. So, my background is in corporate, it's in accounting and finance. I am bent towards security and routine. And I came up in the age of you go to school, you get a good job, you stay there for 40 years, you get your 401k. So when I started feeling led to jump out here in these entrepreneurship streets, I'm not gonna lie, I was dragging my feet. I felt like Jesus was leading me, and I was like, I don't want to. I was scared to death. But, thankfully I obeyed and I had the resources and the tenacity and the grit for it. But it sounds like you were looking for this life, this entrepreneurial experience.
Well, no, to be honest with you, I was nervous. Fears in all of us, which is false expectations appearing real. That's what it stands for because it hasn't happened. We're just anticipating what's going to happen and we're bracing for it so that it doesn't happen, right? But when I started my first entrepreneurship, I was still working. So I had that foundation underneath me. I could play in the sand of entrepreneurship because I still was getting my day-to-day check and still putting in my 401k. But I didn't really get out here until I really got out here, which was in 2015. So for the whole time that I was doing the side hustle, like I said before, it became popular and what everybody's doing today, I still had my gig because um, my husband and I had two sons and they had to go to college. So I knew that entrepreneurship was not going to pay for that. And I was an executive, so I was making really good, income. And to give that up for an entrepreneurship was not the wise thing to do. So when I did finally say, okay, I'm going to do this, I had had 38 years.
I got you. And thank you for clarifying that because I think often those who, want to be entrepreneurs think that off the rip, they just have to jump out there. But so many of us transition into that space, and it's very rare to be able to just dive into entrepreneurship without having the setup, without having the plan. Often you do need capital, you do need resources, you need a way to make it unless you want to live out of your car, right?
Yeah, and I just will often tell my clients, you can do both worlds. You don't have to have either or. I know that we get fed up sometimes. We get tired of the game of politics that goes on in, somebody else's company in the corporate world, and we're like, I'm out of here. I'm done. Deuces. Let wisdom stick with you. That's the one thing you need is discernment and wisdom, because when you get to a place of 60 and you're looking back, you better make sure you have money to take care of because your Social Security is not going to handle it. You have got to have put away money. So I say to you, if you're going to go alone and do this entrepreneurial journey, solo, be putting away some money in somebody's savings account so that you will have the gap between what you're getting in your Social Security and what you need to live on.
And when did you know it was time to take that leap and transition? What were some of
Um,
the signs or how were you feeling?
well, for me, two things. I retired originally. Can you hear me?
Hmm.
I retired originally with my pension in 2011. So I was 50 something. And so at that time, um, I went on to work for someone else after that, which was a good thing because I was young, right? So that doesn't happen for everybody. It happened for me because I will say I planned out a lot. I'm a planner. And what I teach other women is take an analysis or a reflective inventory of where you are today and where you want to be, right? So let's say, for example, Nicole, you're 42. I'm just going to say that as an
I am
example.
42.
Oh, okay. Well, good. That I guessed.
That's
So
hilarious.
that's hilarious. So if you're 42 today and you were to write down 0 to 60 on one axis of a graph, and on the other axis of a graph, you would write the years to 2025 to let's say 2050, and you start to plot where you are today on that graph, in terms of age by level, because you're going to put inside of that, you know, uh, uh, inside of those years, you're going to put um, an analyst to a manager to a senior manager to a director to a CEO to, a founder in terms of where you want to be. So at 42, if you're plateauing and you're still going to be a senior manager out for another 10 years, you know, what are you going to do differently to get to that founder piece? So I always did that for myself. Now, how I learned that, I don't know. But when I went into have meetings with people about my career, I took that one pager in there with me. And I said, hey, here's where I'm at today, and I'm wasting time here. Here's where I need to be. And these were my bosses. So you have to own you and where you want to be and how you're going to get there and get the support that you need, but not from an emotional standpoint. It has to be facts, it has to be research, it has to be data driven. And I've been that person. And so I would say that to answer your question, I believe I'm answering it. It is that you have to have a plan and you have to be actionable with that plan and you have to have supporters for that plan so that you will know how you're going to be. And then I took the leap because by the time I got to what I consider 38 years, that's a long time in corporate. It's time for me to be able to do the entrepreneurship without the handcuffs because I was doing it working in, both spaces. And I never got the fulfillment of what it really felt like. So today I can because I had done the work to set up my framework financially so that I can be out here as an entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I love that. Now, I want to know more about how you were able to remain grounded and humble as you're scaling, because we've had conversations and I can sense you are a very humble person. And I don't think that's typical from what I'm experiencing. And I think that's unique. So, how do you stay humble? How do you keep your character? How do you remain grounded?
Well, because I don't do anything alone. I'm a Christian first. And I say that um, inside of where I am unapologetically for those that may have a different view, that's just who I am. So I don't hide who I am. And I know that I've been on this path with my co-pilot, which is God, on every aspect of what I do. And I don't believe that it's in my strength. It is in his strength. And I believe in Jeremiah 29, the plans for me are already made to prosper. And as long as I don't let pride get in the way, that I believe that everything I'm doing is part of my calling to help others. And I didn't realize when I was working and I was on that will of being successful, trying to make sure I made it to this level, make sure I get to the corner office and all those things. I thought I was doing that for a title, but it really was about the power to make a difference in someone else's life. So even every job I've had was helping someone else. I didn't realize it at the time. So when I got to the space where I really reflectively understood that all of what I did in that space of corporate 38 years to where I am today now, which has been 10 years in this space, but for this reason is purpose walk of pouring into other people so that they can be successful. Because when I'm successful, and when they're successful, I'm successful. That's how I look at it. So none of what I've been doing and none of what I'm doing today is for me. It's a legacy call. It's a legacy walk that when I'm gone, that people will recall that in some way I made a difference in their lives because I didn't hold on to the learnings. Everything that I gained, every tear, every get up and brush it off, every hard knock lesson in automotive manufacturing, which is where I grew up mainly. As a female leader at a time when there weren't many people looking like me, um, I didn't have other women to go to get answers from. I had to deal with, all of the challenges that come with that. Starting at age 21, I was leading 60 some people on an automotive line, assembly line. I was their supervisor. So I had to really learn how to be humble, even in that space, because while I came out of college with a degree, all the people working for me were already adults looking at me like, who, what could I teach them? And I learned quickly. I had to let them teach me. So it also helped humble me, to the place where it didn't even matter about the education. It really is about relationships. And when we learn that your college degrees don't teach relationship, it may give you the knowledge, but if you don't understand how to take that knowledge and transfer that knowledge to relationships that stay on track, then it's useless. It's useless information.
Man, you said a lot that's really hitting home with me. So I've had Jeremiah 29:11 through 13 on my heart this morning.
Oh,
He says, I'm okay, confirmation. And I also had my first managerial position. I was 23. Now I was only overseeing five people, but the women were all older than me, and I definitely resonated with that. You're learning with them. A lot of it was me learning with them. But I just think it's beautiful for you to share that it's really about our relationships. And of course, academia doesn't prepare you for that. And so for me, it's like I was very similarly wired in being an achiever. And so even when I launched into the deep and became a published author, I was like, I want to be a bestseller. Like, this is
yeah.
my goal, right? But what I didn't understand was that my purpose began unfolding, including community work. And so Girl Talk is a part of that, a major part of that in this season. And I didn't even know that would be a branch, I guess, from this call to purpose, a very important branch, and that it wasn't just about me achieving this title of bestseller, that it was more about the community reach.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. I mean, we all need each other. And I mentioned before, and we didn't quite talk about it in this segment yet, is that, part of the community is based upon you having networked with people. And that network, from a cliche standpoint, always says that your network is your net worth. But the part I add to that is that it really is about turning the net worth into currency. And once you understand how to use that net worth, and that currency, then you're going to get a return on the investment that you're not only spending, but there's reciprocity and return on what you're spending it on. So you have to make sure that the network includes the community of people that really support you and really you're supporting.
Now, I want to kind of talk about what tools or resources do you have that you've tapped into that have helped you grow in your profession in the different industries that you've been in, whether it's the literary industry or being at the C level as an executive. What helped you continue evolving and growing?
It's simple. And there are three things. One is habits. Habits are important. Consistency. When we have a plan, work the plan, make sure that you're consistent in the plan. People ask me about Career Master and the brand that I've grown. The reason Career Master is successful is because I've been consistent. I haven't let go. And for 10 years, I'm on my 12th year now. I have grown the brand because I have held on to it consistently without distraction. No matter if it's a good year or bad year, this year was not so good, but I held on. And here we are going to try and get back on our horse for 2026. So stay the course, stay focused, don't get distracted. The thing I say is you can have, you can be committed to go to work every day because you have to. You get up and you go every day because you need the dollars. You need the money. You got to pay the bills. You got to keep the lights on. But just because you go in every day and you are committed, that doesn't mean that you're consistently doing the same things. So commitment alone is not enough. You have to be consistent in what you're doing, in the actions that you take, right? So I think that's first. The second thing is over the years, I joined a little prayer circle back in 2000 with women that I had never met before. It was just by telephone. It was a group that I was asked to join just at the right time in my life. That group, I did not move without prayer 3 times a week before I went to work with that group at 5 in the morning. Foundational. I think back now on that, and some of the women have gone on to glory, and even the lady that started it. But one of the prayer partners I still talk to now, we stopped about 2 years ago. I had not met them in person. It wasn't about them. It was about me, the community, and God. And I was at an event one day and I heard this voice. I heard it in the crowd. We were talking, and I'm like, boy, that voice sounds familiar. So I went up to the lady. I said, wow, you sound so familiar. Do you know, you sound like my prayer partner, Velva. And she was Velva. It was so amazing how it worked. Like it confirmed that it didn't matter that I hadn't met her before on the line because we all believed so wholeheartedly in the commitment and consistency in the prayer with God. It was about Him. But I have a lifelong friend, you know, and it was so amazing. Like you're like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting you for the first time. I mean, after 10 years or so. So I just say those are foundational principles for me is being humble as the third one, knowing that we can't do it in our own strength. And many days where I got frustrated in the journey, I just let go, let him, and had a chance to look at situations that I was in and laugh because at the end of the day, I knew who was in charge. And when you can laugh at major situations, I'm talking about companies where I've been at and responsible for 300 some thousand people as a part of putting together the strategy for and dealing with politics like none other when you're in those kinds of positions of executive level experiences that when you see the politics in front of you, when you can get to a place inside of your journey and you can see the politics right in front of you and just laugh, it's just centering to the place where you know you have grown and that you don't have to give a response. You can be silent in those moments where you let the response bounce and give itself to you. And that, at that moment, you really have grown from that intern to, a place where you can help others get through what we think is a mighty mountain. And really is just how a friend of mine says, it's just a gnat on the back of a horse's butt. It's really not that important.
Now, you touched on, of course, prayer and spirituality. You've touched on your community and your network, even your background, your family background. Are there any other things that you feel like helped you have a strong mindset and developed you to face specific challenges that you faced in your journey and bounce back from?
My mom, she was my Shiro, and she died in 2015. I named a scholarship after her, and that's the nonprofit side of our business, really, is that for her to have reared as a divorced mother of five in the 50s and 60s and 70s, actually, I'm the one that's coming up the rear, to be able to get us all successfully through without incident. And she, at that moment in the 50s, she was an X-ray technician, which is not normal for women in Mississippi. She did well. And so I know that had to come from somewhere. And she was also a humble person that never really boasted or talked about the things. She just presented it in her ways of being. And I look at that as also part of the thread in the fabric of who I've become.
I love that. I definitely resonate with it. My mom transitioned in 2018, and it really was her dream for me to be an entrepreneur. And I started my bookkeeping business and I named it after her, my grandmother who raised me. And so
Awesome.
I definitely resonate with your journey and your story, having a strong single parent who's just sacrificing and laying down their life and wants the better opportunities for you. So it's beautiful that you've been able to honor her legacy, just even with all that you've accomplished.
Yeah, yeah, it's because of her. She was a genius, in my opinion. Before her time, she wrote her class song in 1940. I think it was 40. Was it 44? And went on to get her associate degree. Just times where it wasn't readily happening in that space. But she was the kind of person that could sit down on a Sunday and fill out the New York Times crossword puzzle. In terms of mindset,
Yeah.
like the thinking, and then she became, since when she left being an X-ray technician, she became a transcriptionist for doctors. So do you know those little notes that doctors write on that none of us could figure out? Okay, so she as absolutely understood medical language, um, even that the doctors didn't understand. So I just know from a thinking, she was a poet. I actually helped her become an author. She was an author too. Before she passed, she used to write poetry for people, for graduations, for weddings, for funerals, and she had so many handwritten ones that I said, Mom, uh, you do this all the time. You really need to put it in a book. And she says, oh, well. And so I had her give them all to me, and as many as I could. And I put them in a book for her, and she became an author. And she thought that was the greatest thing. She said, oh my gosh, I have become a star overnight. I can't believe it. So we did a family reunion, and at the family reunion, which I think was in 2013. She died in 2015. She had a book signing at the family reunion. So that was the best thing that ever happened to her.
Beautiful. She sounds like a Renaissance woman, like
Yeah.
very intelligent and talented and creative in all of these different spaces. And clearly you do take after her. So I see that trend. Sure.
Awesome.
Well, I'd like to know because you've experienced so much, is there anything that you would do different in your journey of getting to where you are?
I can say that without thought. No, no. I think I walk in the plans he has for me.
Yeah.
And I don't go to the right or left without asking first.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
So no doubt I'm doing exactly the journey that has been laid out for me. Has it all been um, a bed of roses? No. I believe that we all go through peaks and valleys, and those are for reasons. We have to look at the 80-20 rule, which I believe in. The 80% is far greater than the 20, and the 20 is there for us for a reason. And if we don't learn from it, then it's our fault.
Yeah. I admit, Dr. Lisa, I've had to learn things the hard way at times. If you resonate with that, and I'm like, Lord, the next lesson, just let me learn it easier. Like, why is it that I don't know. Do you resonate with having to learn things the hard way, or do you feel like you kind of get it? Like,
I get it. I'm
yeah.
not that person. I do have children, and I do know their personalities, and I have seen in my children which one has to learn it the hardest, and until they say okay, and that's just who the personality is, right? Now, in the five of us, there was one. And in fact, she passed away this January. I lost one of my siblings. She passed away this year, January. But she was the one.
Mm.
She didn't pass away because of that, but but when we laugh and look back at, our upbringing, she was the one that was always uh she had to do it her way, and always gave mom the hard time with back talk, and the things that I think that the reason I could say no is because I watched them and I knew I didn't want to get in trouble.
You have the benefit of older siblings, so I'm an only
Yeah.
child.
Oh yeah, yeah. Then that's different. No, I knew. Oh, for sure, I knew what not to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just sit back and watch the show. Every time they got in trouble, I would look and like, oh goodness. And so when it became my turn, I went to college. I knew, like, I could smell my mom when I was doing something wrong because I knew, like, she wasn't even around, but I knew, like, no, that's not, no, she'll know. She'll know this happened, this, because I knew she knew those things. Like, I watched all of them go to college. Like, I was like, at home, and all four of them were in college, and I still was just only in the eighth grade. So,
Yeah,
I'm the oops one, but I knew like from 13 on, I'm looking at all of them are like 18 up, and they're just getting in trouble.
I got you. Yeah, you had that benefit. And my prayer has been like, Lord, help me learn from others' stories, you
Yeah,
know.
you will.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap this
Okay.
conversation up. Thank you so much for
You're
everything
welcome.
you shared. What I really want our listeners to hear from you is any wisdom, any additional wisdom, because you've given us a lot of how to walk in purpose, how to manifest your achievements or greatness or identity in God, in the earth. And if there's anything else that you kind of have on your heart that you just want to give to our audience.
Um, Probably the one thing I would say is everything that has happened in your life to this point is just a prelude for what's to come. And if we look at it as the prelude, understand that that music is playing so that you can hear the rhythm of the moments that are going to come, and you use everything in that prelude to build the story. And in the story, um, every aspect of it, the good, bad, and ugly, is a part of what you have to share with the world. So part of my story, the Mississippi part and all the things that could have been bleak, it was the best part of making me foundational. It was the prelude for my success. And so I just share with you, don't shrink from who you are. Take all of you with you and make that story the song that you want others to sing about when your story is there for them to say and God to say, well done. And I say that because I just had a friend of mine. She was 44. She passed away this October.
Mm.
And here in the area of Charlotte, North Carolina. I went to her celebration last weekend. Wow. That's all I can tell you is wow. There's over 1,000 people there. Just only 44.
That's amazing.
The place was like wall to wall.
That's crazy.
And I get chills now just thinking about her because she had such a light. And in this journey of her life, I now see what was there that everybody saw.
Wow.
And I don't think she even realized what she was doing. But the story was told last weekend.
Mm.
It was just, I've not been to anything like it in my years.
That's wild.
It's wild. So I say to you, you know, use all of you.
Hmm.
That's it.
Well, I am greatly inspired and impacted. And honestly, I asked that question so I can get the wisdom myself.
Oh, good, 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 good.
So
I hope
thank
I
you
didn't
so
help
much,
more.
Dr.
You're
Lisa.
welcome.
I appreciate you.
Yep, you're
Um,
welcome. And hopefully people will come to our summit. It's coming. I'd like to let everybody
yeah, share
know.
with our audience the dates, your website, any ways they can follow up with you.
So we're going into our 12th year for the Career Master Women's History Leadership Summit and Awards. And it's going to be nationally held in Charlotte, North Carolina on May 5th and 6th. And you can get tickets right now. The early bird tickets we slashed so that the first 100 will go right away. You will not get this price after the first 100 tickets are gone. And I will tell you, our special guest is going to pull down the house. And so when we do announce, I think you're going to be probably not happy that you missed out. But it is $299. We've never sold them that low. And you can get that between now and the first 100 that are gone. And it's www.careermastered.com. We have the opening reception on the 5th. As you always know, we have the white sneaker party and a good time. And then on the next day, we start with all of the workshops and sessions will run between 8:30 and 6:30.
Now, wasn't that conversation exactly what I said it would be? Dr. Lisa did not disappoint with her shared wisdom, and I hope you guys took notes. Some of what stood out to me in this dialogue was the impact of our lives on others. Her friend, who passed at the tender age of 44, had an amazing attendance at her celebration of life. This says to me she had finished her work. I wholeheartedly agree with Dr. Lisa's statement that we are to use 100% of our gifts every day and shouldn't leave anything on the table. I can see how her mindset, even as a young child, positioned her for success. Her grandfather's demonstration taught her to reach for her goals, and all four of her siblings went to college, so for her, there was no excuse. Dr. Lisa was raised by community, and that experience cultivated a value of people that transferred to her business. As she put it, your network is your net worth. I can resonate with that too. I've been blessed with a strong, thriving spiritual community and sisters who have been along for the ride for most of my faith journey. Then, when I took the leap into being a creative entrepreneur, I established meaningful, purposeful partnerships. I've been able to benefit from these partnerships and do amazing collaborations that impact our city. I think Dr. Lisa's perspective that opportunity is the gap of where you are and where you want to be demonstrates her positive achiever mindset. Those who get defeated by the perceived gap can miss out on what could be invented in that gap. You can learn more on how to develop this successful mindset by reading her new book, Capacity: Women Shattering the Limits Now. The links for this book and all of Dr. Lisa's endeavors are in the show notes. Another great nugget I got from this conversation is that you don't have to be a full-fledged entrepreneur. You can keep your side hustle while putting yourself in a position to take that leap. I had my corporate experience for nearly 9 years and worked for other small business owners for 2 before I took the leap. Then I had to take another leap into creative business when I started the publishing house. But all of our purposes and paths look different. Maybe entrepreneurship isn't your thing, but there's another leap you're supposed to take. Give yourself grace and know that God's timing is perfect. Sometimes there are behind-the-scenes things that need to be put into place first. Sometimes we are being shaped into the person able to walk into that next phase of life. Often it's both. Well, that sums up this segment of Girl Talk 101. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode. And remember, I attract amazing women doing amazing things. So guess what, sis? That means you're amazing. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. To continue the conversation, join our Girl Talk community by following @GirlTalkCLE on Instagram and Facebook.com/HTOHB, where you can join the Girl Talk Facebook group. You can follow me personally on Instagram @HTOHB, on Facebook.com/HTOHB, and at YouTube.com/@HTOHB. Feel free to reach out via email info@indiemillerpublishing.com. If you're a writer who wants to take the next steps into becoming a published author, you can book a one-on-one consultation at indiemiller.pub. Just let me know you heard about my publishing house through Girl Talk, and I'll give you a 50% discount on our one-on-one. If you like weekly inspirational nuggets, you can subscribe to my blog and monthly newsletter at NicoleDmiller.com, where you can learn more about me and my writings. Till next time.